Blue fruit shining under twilight, soft wind crossing low branches, tall grass moving beside fences, white clouds fading above hills. Evening arrives through the orchard, stone wells beneath fig trees, woven baskets near ladders, thin paths crossing the fields, clay pots resting in shade. A grower trims young branches carefully, visitors wander among rows. Someone tastes the fruit, nobody rushes away. Stay beneath these trees, forget the distant towns. The world feels gentler, near leaves and sky. Ivory comets cross the horizon, slowly cool air settles over terraces. Wood gates stand half open, dry leaves gather softly. One traveler paints the orchard patiently, one child follows falling petals. Somebody rests by the stone wall, watching the sky change color. Blue shadows spread through branches, low bells drift from fields. Everything feels peaceful here, everything feels quietly bright. Small birds rest near hedges, water runs beside roots. Even distant sounds grow softer inside the evening grove. Seeds on cloth, lanterns near baskets, leaves across paths, light through branches. A baker cools sweet loaves, copper trays catch the glow. Fresh herbs dry slowly, white curtains move gently. One musician tunes a mandolin, one elder watches the hills. Someone writes short verses near the orchard gate. Above the valley, the sky turns deep violet. Walk through quiet orchard weather, move beside sleeping trees. Some places hide wonder inside fruit and light. Fresh air and cedar scents, silver reflections across leaves. Everything turns cinematic inside orchard evenings. Maybe trees remember seasons, maybe gardens soften hearts, maybe people breathe easier far from crowded streets. Every branch keeps blossoms, every path keeps footsteps. Some visitors seek beauty, some seek rest. Still the wind keeps moving, still the orchard keeps growing. Golden light leaves the branches, bird song fades beyond the fields. Blue shade covers the grove, stars appear above the hills. The baskets return indoors, the pathways become still. Day leaves the orchard toward the distant valley. Carry these gentle hours carefully, carry the wind and leaves, carry every blurred reflection, carry every quiet smile. Leave the comets drifting softly, leave the orchard resting gently, leave the valley breathing slowly toward another bright morning. The final light leaves the hills, moonlight settles on the branches. Only the leaves remain whispering beneath comments. Beneath the ivory comments. Morning vapor rising from stone circles, high cliffs guarding the basin, thin streams tracing silver paths, bright swifts cutting through air. The valley wakes without hurry. Timber rails beside the ravine, round wells hidden by moss, flat stones warming in sunlight, long ropes hanging quietly. A keeper checks the buckets carefully. Walkers pause near the water. Someone studies old markings. Nobody disturbs the peace. Stay within these ridges. Forget the distant harbors. The hours feel wider among cliffs and springs. Cobalt bridges span the canyons, cool wind drifts below arches. Wildflowers gather near edges. Cloud bands move overhead. One traveler draws the skyline patiently. One child listens for echoes. Somebody leans on the railing, watching the stream bend away. Green reflections cover the water. Low tones rise from the wells. Everything feels hidden here. Everything feels quietly alive. Fern clusters grow by stone. White birds settle near pools. Even faint sounds linger longer inside the open basin. Pebbles around springs, lanterns near shelters, leaves upon steps, mist over water. A potter shapes fresh clay, blue jars line the shelves. Soft fabric moves slowly. Warm bread cools nearby. One musician carves a flute. One elder watches the canyon. Someone writes small notes near the echo well. Above the valley, the sky becomes pale copper. Walk through gentle highland weather. Move beside sleeping bridges. Some places hide wonder inside water and stone. Fresh moss and cedar scent golden reflections across springs. Everything turns cinematic inside valley afternoons. Maybe echoes carry memories. Maybe valleys keep silence. Maybe people find balance far from crowded roads. Every bridge keeps crossings. Every well keeps whispers. Some visitors seek answers. Some seek calm. Still the streams keep flowing. Still the cliffs keep watching. Amber light reaches the terraces. Bird calls fade near the heights. Blue shade fills the shelters close quietly. The pathways lose their glow. Day leaves the valley toward the distant peaks. Carry these quiet hours carefully. Carry the wind and springs. Carry every blurred reflection. Carry every calm thought. Leave the bridges standing softly. Leave the wells resting gently. Leave the valley breathing slowly toward another clear sunrise. The final bird leaves the cliffs. Moonlight settles across the water. Only the wells remain singing across the cobalt bridges. Across the cobalt bridges. White plains sleeping beneath pale light. Dry wind moving through tall grass. Long clouds drifting over distance. White horses crossing the horizon. Silence stretches across the steppe. Round tents standing by the ridge. Wool blankets folded near fires. Carved cups resting on rugs. Leather straps hanging quietly. A herder ties the reins carefully. Guests gather beside the embers. Someone watches the far hills. Nobody speaks in haste. Stay beneath these skies. Forget the distant kingdoms. The earth feels wider among grass and wind. Amber sail moons rise above plains. Cool air settles over pathways. Wild reeds sway near streams. Dust lines drift slowly. One traveler paints the horizon patiently. One child runs after feathers. Somebody sits on the hillside, watching the twilight deepen. Soft shadows cover the grasslands. Low strings echo near tents. Everything feels endless here. Everything feels quietly warm. Small fires glow by stones. Falcons rest upon posts. Even distant sounds arrive gently across the open steppe. Ash around embers. Ropes beside saddles. Grain upon cloth. Stars over tents. A cup pours warm tea. Cup of bowl shines softly. Thick cloaks dry nearby would just remain open. One musician tunes a lute. One elder studies the sky. Someone writes short lines near the fire circle. Above the plains, the night becomes silver. Walk through quiet grassland weather. Move beside resting camps. Some places hide wonder inside distance and sky. Dry earth and cedar smoke. Golden reflections across fields. Everything turns cinematic inside steppe evenings. Night calls fade near streams. Blue shade reaches the camp. Stars gather above ridges. The fires become quieter. The pathways grow still. Day leaves the steppe toward the distant hills. Carry these open hours carefully. Carry the wind and grass. Carry every blurred reflection. Carry every silent wish. Leave the moons drifting softly. Leave the camps resting gently. Leave the plains breathing slowly toward another clear dawn. The final horse leaves the ridge. Moonlight settles across the grass. Only the wind remains wandering beneath the amber sail moons. Beneath the amber sail moons. Clear currents winding through white stone. Steep walls holding morning haze. Tall grasses brushing the banks. Bright herons crossing the water. The basin opens beneath the sky. Smooth steps carved into cliffs. Reed baskets beside the shore. Polished jars resting on ledges. Thin bridges hanging quietly. A ferryman checks the ropes carefully. Visitors gather near the landing. Someone watches the waterline. Nobody interrupts the calm. Stay among these waters. Forget the distant crossroads. The hours feel clearer near stone and rivers. Verdant spires rise above valleys. Cool mist drifts over channels. Wildflowers cover the slopes. Soft clouds move slowly. One traveler sketches the basin patiently. One child follows river birds. Somebody sits near the overlook, watching the currents below. Pale reflections spread through pools. Low tones drift from canyons. Everything feels bright here. Everything feels quietly deep. Firm beds grow by springs. Silverfish cross the shallows. Even faint sounds carry gently across the water paths. Pebbles near reeds. Lanterns beside docks. Leaves upon bridges. Mist over streams. A pot of shapes, river clay. Green bowls line the tables. Light fabric moves softly. Fresh bread cools nearby. One musician tunes a zither. One elder studies the current. Someone writes brief notes near the stone landing. Above the basin, the sky turns pale rose. Walk through quiet river weather. Move beside sleeping channels. Some places hide wonder inside light and water. Fresh moss and cedar scent. Silver reflections across pools. Everything turns cinematic inside basin afternoon. Maybe rivers keep memories, maybe stone preserves silence. Maybe people breathe deeper, far from crowded paths. Every bridge keeps crossings, every spring keeps echoes. Some visitors seek horizons, some seek rest. Still the currents keep flowing, still the reeds keep swaying. Golden light reaches the ledges, bird calls fade near cliffs. Blue shade fills the basin, stars appear above the heights. The docks grow quieter, the pathways lose their warmth. Day leaves the rivers toward the distant hills. Carry these clear hours carefully, carry the mist and streams, carry every blurred reflection, carry every quiet thought. Leave the spire standing softly, leave the rivers resting gently, leave the basin breathing slowly toward another bright dawn. The final bird leaves the shore, moonlight settles across the pools. Only the rivers remain shining below the verdant spires. Below the verdant spires. Flat stone reaching the horizon, cold air slipping through ravines, mirror pools catching the sky, dark birds crossing overhead. The plateau waits beneath dawn. Long slabs beside still water, rope markers across gravel, small cans near pathways, weathered poles standing alone. A ranger checks the markers quietly, travelers stop near the pools. Someone studies the reflections, nobody breaks the stillness. Stay upon these heights, forget the distant villages. The silence feels deeper, near sky and stone. Onyx kites drift across the plain, thin mist settles over hollows. Dry moss covers the ridges, cool shadows move slowly. One traveler paints the horizon patiently, one child follows the kites. Somebody sits near the edge, watching clouds pass below. Soft reflections spread through bisons, low wind hums across rock. Everything feels endless here, everything feels quietly clear. Tiny flowers grow by cracks, white feathers rest on gravel. Even distant sounds arrive gently across the silent plateau. Dust beside stones, lanterns near shelters, leaves on path, mist over mirrors. A craftsperson shapes smooth clay, dark bowls line the bench Changes light, curtains move softly, warm bread cools nearby. One musician tunes a lyre, one elder watches the sky. Someone writes short thoughts near the mirror pools. Above the plateau, the clouds turn silver blue. Walk through quiet highland weather, move beside sleeping mirrors. Some places hide wonder inside silence and light. Cool stone and cedar scent, silver reflections across water. Everything turns cinematic inside plateau evenings. Maybe still water keeps secrets, maybe heights preserve calm. Maybe people find balance far from crowded places. Every pool keeps images, every path keeps footsteps. Some visitors seek distance, some seek peace. Still the wind keeps moving, still the mirrors keep shining. Golden light leaves the ridges, bird calls fade beyond stone. Blue shade fills the plain, stars appear above the pools. The shelters grow quieter,